hello, sunshines. Welcome to the Nicki Sun Show. I'm your host, Nicki Sun. And before I start, I just want to say and give a huge shout out because this episode is generously sponsored by my friends over at Kingston Technology. And just getting right into this is a new thing. This is a show where I want to feature and highlight just incredible people, creatives, artists in the world that are doing their thing that I think you should know as well. So, to my left, I have none other than the incredible singer, songwriter, event photographer, Dolly Avenue. How are you today?
Hi, thank you for having me.
This is incredible. We are at a very, very special place. And Dolly, why don't you explain where we are right now?
We are about 2 hours away from LA, and I drive here whenever I'm feeling inspired or just want to get away and go into the mountains. Right before we began shooting, I took a BTS photo, and someone was like, "Girl, why are you always in a field?" And it's true. Like, this is my safe space, and I'm from Missouri, so I wanted to bring a little bit of that nature in the video.
I love it. Well, thank you for taking us and the viewers to your safe spot and also a spot of inspiration. Can you tell us the last time you were here and what that process was like?
I was here about 3 years ago, so it's been a while, but I discovered it when I used to come up here to see my cousins, and this really is a monumental place for me for when I began music. I wrote one of my first songs on the EP called Florida, and yeah, I just love it. It's so pretty and it's pretty remote, honestly. There's not a lot of people here, and you can really just hear yourself think.
We had a very intimate hour and a half drive
We did.
going through your debut album. Congratulations.
Thank
This is
you.
our time. We got to scan through each one of the tracks and pause on each one and kind of the process, what it's meant to you, what the song means, lyrics, and everything. And you were getting emotional as we were getting closer to here, and I was like, save that for our interview. So I
Save
would
the
love
good
for
stuff.
I would love for you to share with the audience what was going through your mind as we were nearing the same spot again today.
Yeah, at the time I was going through kind of a crisis, trying to become an artist and a musician, embarking on my first EP, and I said heartbreak, and I was just everything was so uncertain at the time, and I would drive here when I was really sad or confused, 6 a.m. sometimes just sitting by myself writing music, and to fast forward this time coming back having finished another album, my first album, but also kind of coming back wiser as an adult and having more intense things happen in my life that are, I guess the best way to describe it is more adult themes, which is the death of my mom and something that I would never expect to have happened. And I'm actually here wearing her dress, the only one that like kept from her place. So it's very emotional in general.
Yeah.
Not really sad, just interesting to see where life has taken us.
Wow. I had no idea the whole time you were wearing your mother's dress, so that's very beautiful. Do you remember the last time she wore that dress? And what event was there a special occasion for that?
I think it was one of the last times I saw her, honestly.
Yeah.
And I just kind of like made it a little bit more me.
Yeah.
Because this is like totally not chokers, like supposed to be right here. But I wasn't sure what I was gonna wear today, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because I knew we were gonna be in one of my favorite places, and I actually was going through different outfits and looks, and then I was like, you know what? There's this dress that I have not touched. I never tried it on, and as I was driving, I was like, this is so weird, because I just felt like I was her for a moment. Because he
Yeah.
always wore this dress, so
Wow.
here we are.
Well, how special. Thank you for wearing it today, and I'm glad that we get to honor mom.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
But let's talk about like your album a lot more when you wrote it because I think we all were stuck in a panorama and then that's when a lot of things happened for you to switch. So can you take us through the time of why this album, why this time, and what drew you to creating an 11-track album?
The pandemic happened quickly to all of us. I was, at the time, a entertainment photographer. I was pursuing that hardcore. I was like, this is my path. I would write music, but I never thought to pursue it. I had terrible stage fright. I didn't know how to write music, but I knew I loved to sing and write melodies. And then the pandemic hit, and I lost my job quite literally. No one was going to take pictures with
Mhm.
somebody physically. And immediately we got a diagnosis from my mom that she had several months to live. We didn't really know. And just the world shut down, of course. And I was living in this tiny 1-bedroom apartment. And so it was just really a really tough time.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure what instinct or intuition I had, but I just started writing music, and I did write some songs before that I just shared on the internet. And this is the more crazier part of the story is I shared it on the internet, and I was very adamant about going on Reddit and going on Facebook groups and just getting it out there because I'm, independent. And then my manager discovered me on Facebook, a Facebook group, and that's really the beginning of the story. And when he discovered me, we kind of started experimenting with music and kind of wondering, okay, well, now that we've been working together for quite some time, let's teach you how to write, teach you how to like express yourself wonderfully. And why don't we start embarking on an album? And I didn't know it was going to be a coming of age album. I didn't know it was going to be about grief. I just was writing, and I went through a lot of weird phases. I went from country to really funk music, and it really wasn't authentic to me. And I was having another crisis because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm being pulled in a million different directions, and I'm young, and I have industry people being like, well, you should make really pop music, or you should be doing this. And I was just lost. And then that came to the first track that I wrote, which is called Crash, where we wrote it on the guitar. And the first line is just like, don't you find it strange that we're going to die someday? And very morbid, very existential, but
Very current though, because Barbie's premises, not just give away the full context of it,
spoiler. I'm just kidding.
was the questioning idea of death. Do you
Yeah,
ever think about it?
absolutely. Right. And that is the core of everything I was feeling at the time. Not necessarily death, just the meaning of life.
Yeah.
And that was the perfect precursor to creating an 11-song album.
Wow. But I'm just going where you are, pandemic, dealing with stage 4 cancer, mom.
Yes,
Do you mind
terminal.
what kind of cancer it was?
She had a rare cancer, it was bile duct cancer.
Wow,
So
okay.
there's just no way you could even detect it until it's, too late essentially.
Yeah.
So it was totally a whirlwind for
Yeah.
sure.
And then can you describe where you were? Like, were you living by yourself?
Yeah. I was with roommates at the time, and she was texting me some symptoms that weren't unusual to me. She always was kind of like, I'm having trouble sleeping and things like that. And I just said, just go to the hospital and just get it checked out. And then when she went, she kind of shared like not the diagnosis, but what it could be. And she said it might be gallbladder. But then I started doing my own digging, WebMD, and
Oh gosh, that is the worst. Never self-diagnose.
I know, but all the symptoms didn't lead to gallbladder. It
Uh-huh.
was really stage 4 cancer, to be
Yeah,
honest, because she
yeah.
had jaundice. And so I was like already just in my head, like, oh no, our lives are changing.
Yeah.
And then, of course, it was terminal cancer. And that's when everything was just kind of just flash by,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah. I only asked this because you know that I lost my dad to cancer too. And
Thank
so
you for sharing.
it's just like, there is life beyond loss. And I
Mhm.
just wanted to know, like, if there's anything that you could share for viewers or listeners going through these things and these hard times. Like, what got you through all of that to be like, I'm in a dark space right now, but to turn it into
Mm.
this album, just writing and doing your art, that takes a lot of courage and a lot of bravery. So I just wanted for you to share with the audience, like, what got you through that? Like, what was your inspiration to pick up the pen and write and just create this album?
Yeah, of course. And thank you for sharing your story too. I think it's such a universal thing that we're going to all go through, which is death, and especially the death of a loved one. What really got me through, I mean, it's bittersweet, right? Because cancer is, it was terminal, but I had time to kind of
Yeah.
process a little bit quicker than others would. And so I got to ask her all the questions that I wanted to and learn more about her life.
Wow. Can you share
Yeah,
a
of
little bit of
course.
what questions you asked?
I, you know, I was pretty adamant. I was just like, what do you regret? You know, what are you thinking right now? What does this feel like?
Yeah.
Because I was always kind of existential and curious in that way. And, you know, her answers were heartbreaking, of course. Like, she had a tragic life and then it's going to end tragically. And she just was like, you know, if I had the moment to just go on a walk tomorrow, like, that's all I want. Like, her basis was just be healthy.
Yeah.
And of course, it was sad in the moment, but I really took that to heart because, you know, she sacrificed a lot for me to be here. And if the only thing that's stopping me is fear, then that's not a lot stopping me.
You can do anything.
You can do it. And
Yeah.
so every time I was feeling kind of sad and stressed, I was just like, well, I get a second shot at life. I get to use what I learned from that and help somebody else. But most importantly, that's why the album's called This Is Our Time.
Yeah.
There's no perfect timing. You can't wait when you have the savings or the perfect housing situation. You should just really go for it because life is short. And that's kind of how I think about it, you know?
Thank you so much for sharing. And just like with the songs on the album, I know there's a particular song that's straight about your mom. And then you shared with me in the car. That's why I'm like, I try not to interview too much ahead of time because I feel like I know. But I'd love for you to share Flowers with us and the process with that and who's on there.
Sure, of course. Yeah. That was the song that I wrote specifically about my mother and about the situation. I was on the floor in like a sunroom, I remember, and I had this melody that I couldn't get out of my head, and I kept singing There's a War Growing in my mind.
Yeah.
And I wrote it down, and it was like, there's a war growing in my mind, and then I kept writing about it, and then the melody all came together, and I voice noted it, and I immediately sent it to my manager and my producers, and they were just like, you have to finish it. This is a song. And it was the first song that I wrote without, you know, with being outside of a studio, just on my own accord, which hasn't happened in a while. And yeah, I went to the studio and I brought my little brother to help me finish the guitar notes. And yeah, we finished the song. It's one of my favorite songs on the album as well, and the most specific. Sing a lot about Kansas City, and my favorite line about it is really, dying flowers are still pretty.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, okay, it has to be named Flowers.
I love that. Well, I'm going to switch tones and stuff like that.
Sure, yeah, we've gotten really heavy.
We went deep straight up, you know?
That's
and
how I like
think
it.
that's what I love about it. It's because when you allow yourself to be open, you just learn so many more incredible things. But I just want to take a moment really quickly because I realize, you know, not everybody may know who you are. And usually I like to go on our Instagrams to your page and talk about the 3 top posts that you've pinned.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, I had your Instagram, which is Dolly Ave. I've been saying Dolly Ave, but it's Avenue. We say it out. We say the whole thing out.
No worries.
And I'm like, yeah, usually when you go on someone's page, you know what's important to them by what they pin. And so
What did I pin?
that's why I'm like, I'm going to tell you
It's
how
like
I'm going to
booty
do
pics.
this. Okay, so the first one, this was on December 29th, 2022. Do you remember what that was yet?
No.
Okay. It's a
Christmas?
thank you to everyone who got us this far. We sang to 40,000 people in Japan,
Oh.
traveled to Saudi Arabia and Egypt, played our first major festival, attended red carpets internationally, and so much more. Can you describe what you were like feeling in that moment of why this has been a top highlight for you?
Oh man, that was just the beginning of music, really, and having my first opportunity to play in front of so many people. I went on my first tour. I supported a really wonderful artist, Miyavi, and I just saw the world. And honestly, just being on the road, I had like I don't know, I was just reflecting on it and just being like, wow, like I didn't know that this could be a possibility. And then I saw the world, and then it just opened the door for me. It just was like, this is where you can take it. Your dreams can take you this far. And it's kind of like a bug. You just continue to want to like search for more.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a great year.
I mean, that was like recently. This was like last year.
Yeah.
This is literally at the end of 2022.
Yeah,
and
the
you're
bar
saying
is
this
high.
is just when you're like getting into like the music part? That's incredible.
Thank
Just
you.
thinking that you've been an event photographer, but you, like, really felt compelled to create, like, an 11-track album and just do it and release it, like, literally in July of 2023. Like, I don't know if you know that, but that is, like, incredible. We talk
Thank
about
you.
films, we talk about people releasing singles, but a full 11-track album, we don't hear that anymore, especially when you have a theme. It's like it's telling something about the certain period in your life, and I just wanna let you know that I find that remarkable.
Thank you. And it was hard. I'm not gonna lie, like that process was not easy at all, but you count the milestones, right? You count
Yeah.
the steps and you're always looking towards, well, just finish the song and then finish the
Mhm.
track and the mix and the master and then you finish 11 songs. So it was quite a journey, but it was a good challenge for me to also realize that, good things take time as well and sometimes it gets finished quickly like we did now and yeah, it was a great chapter.
I feel like as women particularly, and I have to say this, like, we have a hard time celebrating our wins or sharing it because we feel afraid that it comes off as bragging or very egotistical, but
Imposter
I feel
syndrome.
like we don't, as women, do that enough. So I wanna give you your, like, brag time right now, truly, to just, like, share what you're proud of. I just want you to go off. Just go off
Go
right
off,
now. Just
queen.
go off, queen.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I'm really just proud that I didn't stop,
Yeah.
right? It doesn't necessarily have to be music related or art related because there are a lot of times that, you're kind of masking that it's easy, like I'm putting a smile on, but
Yeah.
I'm really glad that like just kept pushing through and kind of seeing what life has to offer. And I mean, after the pandemic, I was just happy to be able to be around other people,
Mm.
I mean, that's so simple, but you kind of realize what you like had to give up. As simple going to the movie theaters. I love the movie theaters. So just the simple joys in life. And I think that's kind of the point of this album too is, you know, this is your chapter to go out there and do what you want, but also if all of that was taken away, I'm at peace because I tried.
Mhm.
So, yeah, thank you.
I love that, and that's the reason why, you ask that question to different people, everybody's gonna have a different, like, answer. Like,
Mhm.
success and happiness looks different to every person, so I usually ask that because I know kind of where you're at in terms of just being at peace with knowing that you've done an incredible thing of, like, having never recorded an album before, figuring out how to do it and just, like, going with it. And I have to say, like, it is an album that I am putting on repeat. Every song is a bop. Like, there is
It's not
the
sad, guys. It's actually more bangers
exactly.
than
I'm
you
just
think.
like, even though, like, you wrote this after, the passing of your mother, like, I truly feel coming of age is that teenage angst
Mhm.
with, so-called friend, and then you have rock vibes. I mean, just explain in your own words what this album is about.
Sure. I think this album is really just about me talking to myself as an adult to a kid. Just, things are gonna get better. There are better days ahead. Of course, you're gonna have those tracks that are telling you to leave your small town, go for it, and then the more angstier tracks. But really, it's just an empowerment album, honestly. Less of a grief album, but centered around the grief.
Mhm.
And I think coming of age is the perfect world. I feel like word and world, but it's like the perfect definition for when you're playing the track. I can just see a montage of things happening when you're listening to the music.
Oh, I do too. And just as a filmmaker and director, I was definitely listening to them like, "This could be perfect for this scene, and this is what you're doing as you're recording it in the music studio."
Right, that slow-mo shot.
Yeah, yeah, the headbanger, you know?
Right.
What is the song that you're most proud of?
Wow, that's a tough question.
Even if it, like, because you're proud of it because it took the longest or you didn't think it was gonna make the album, but it did to, like, round out the rest, but yeah, I don't know if proud is the most important word about it, but I guess maybe the song that has meant something to you, whether it's, like, extreme high, extreme low.
I would say so-called friend or still young just because when I first wrote it, I was kind of embarrassed about it.
Why?
I think it was just so not where I was headed. It was like really rock and angsty and teen pop punk. And I was just like, this is not me. Like, I don't want people to think that I'm whatever my definition of what I want people to perceive me as. But I love it because I just let it go. Like, I think that's the cool part about music is I'm not trying to say anything. I'm just trying to feel whatever I want to feel and not being afraid of what someone may perceive the track. But I just had a lot of fun with these tracks. Like, still young, I go in a deeper tone and I'm like cussing and, going really pop with it and fun. So I think those tracks, I guess, took me out of my comfort zone.
Your album release party.
It was fun.
I know.
We had a cardboard horse.
Daisy, balloons, and all that stuff.
Very field energy.
Yeah, very field energy. I think you're going to coin that term, like field energy. To see yourself surrounded by friends. And we're getting into this because there is a fun fact. How many addresses have you had?
30 addresses I've moved.
You've moved so much that you've had 30 addresses.
Yeah, and that's a part of the story. And I was going to make the joke too, but it was just like, well, all these people that arrived, which were to my surprise, I really thought there were going to be like 10 people that were going to show up, were kind of 30 lives that I've lived.
Yeah.
Not everyone was in the film industry. Everyone was like, some of them were middle school friends that came out. And so it's really cool to see your life just in front of you at the same time.
Yeah. Another track on your album is Honda. And it's like being on the road, kind of that's your home in a way because you never really had like a solid like address to pin you down somewhere. And, being able to throw an album release party, is there ever that fear or worry? Like, is someone going to show up?
Yeah, I think that's always going to be the anxiety for an artist. Like, will anybody show up at my shows? Will anybody listen? Will anybody care? And then you realize there's always going to be somebody. Like, that song that's very specific to you is going to resonate with somebody. 5 people came up to me after the party and were like, I lost my dad. I lost my mom. I just lost her. And you would never know, right? Everyone's just partying and drinking and having a good time. And that's what kind of keeps me going, is that's the reason. It's for that one person that shows up. Of course, like I said, I thought like 10 people were going to show up, and then it was like hordes of people at the same time. And then it was just such a crazy experience when you have low expectations. So I think that's the key, is to have low expectations.
And everything is just high when you get
exactly. There. Like in life too. It's like, okay, if I can get the album out, that's all I need to do. And then if it does great, then great. And if it doesn't, then I did the part. So
yeah. And I mean, when you were moving around a lot too, I mean, do you have any tips or maybe tips to avoid like in making friends?
For sure. I think when I first started moving, I was very quiet and shy, and like I was like a wallflower. And then I eventually learned to kind of crack jokes and get out of my shell. And I made so much more friends just making awkward situations less awkward by just speaking up, or more awkward. And I think just putting yourself out there. I mean, the weirder you are, whatever, like people are going to flock to you, the right people. So give yourself a chance.
Yeah. I mean, what do you look for in a friend? Because I feel like when someone has moved around and you don't get the chance to know, like, I think you've had more experience in identifying red flags and green flags.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot more than the rest of us. So, like, what are some immediate red flags for you when you're just moved in? Do I want to be your friend? Do I want to not be your friend?
Ooh, that's tough, because I was in the formative years developing myself. I would just say, like, the friends that pick up your call when you need it, the friends that don't judge you when you're having a tough time, those are the ones that stick around.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, friends that are there for celebrations, but really the downfalls and the sad parts of your life are kind of what you look for. But also just good energy. I think that's the easiest. Are they making you laugh? Do they make you cry more than smile? Then that's the same energy for men or like boyfriends and girlfriends. It's like, are they an onion? Are they making you cry? Okay.
Can I peel back these layers?
Yeah, then let them go.
What is one thing that you wish you were asked more of, but maybe you don't get asked enough because maybe people don't know enough about that part of your life?
Wow, these are some good questions. Wow, what would I want people to ask more of? I guess just the journey and how difficult it really is, you know? I think the process is what people kind of forget to touch on because they see this like glimmering end product or like the accolades and things like that. But I really think it's important to highlight that not just in my story, just, you know, I had a very difficult circumstance and my milestone and my goal and chapter was to finish this one thing. And that is success. You know what I mean? And so I just want to remind anybody that's listening that, you know, if you have a full-time job and you're juggling like your kids and bills and stuff, writing a song a day, that's such a milestone. And, you know, just go easy on yourself
Yeah.
and not compare yourself to other people.
Yeah. And let's talk about that too, because I'm all about transparency. But as a music artist, for those listening too who are interested in going down the path of like, okay,
Are you
this is an
interested?
artist.
Think about it. No, I was
You're like,
kidding.
really think about this. There's a lot that goes into it. Is there some advice that you can share for musicians, artists looking for inspiration from someone like you who like literally just took it by the balls and just went with it?
Well, first off, if you're trying to be an artist, my biggest flaw is I like to scale everything up for no reason. Like I'm such a perfectionist. So you do not need to like go high quality everything. I did because I was trying to prove myself to not be the photographer that sings. So you could
Ooh,
totally
that hits because we are multi hyphenates in LA.
Yeah, you
so,
don't want to
yeah.
be like, oh, she's covering music, which is okay if that's your thing. But for me, I was trying to be like, I want to be taken seriously,
Yeah.
you know, in
Yeah.
my community. And so you could totally save money that way. You don't need to go all out. You can, the internet's free. You can learn anything on the internet. But, you know, it's whatever's going to get you through the day, right? I had to take a lot of different jobs. I used a lot of my savings, my photography money, figured it out, went on, did backup singing, try to figure out sponsorship. Had a great manager, of course, but you have to put 100% in. Like he's gonna do 100%, but you gotta match the same energy. So when you're working whatever hours a day and you go home, are you still excited to do what you're doing? And if it's for fame or for XYZ and you're not really wanting to still have that motivation, then it's really not for you because you really have to have thick skin to do this. And you really have to believe in yourself because no one else is going to believe in you until you know, get those stepping stones and then people kind of flock to you. So it's blind faith for sure. But, you know, all your money, all your resources, all your tears and your confidence is going to go out the gutter. So you really have to love this genuinely.
Yeah.
So my advice is if you don't feel that way about it, and that's okay. It doesn't need to be like your full-time thing. But also, it doesn't need to be a full-time thing. I think you can totally, you know, live your life the way with your circumstances and do it on the side because that's the best you can do. So I wouldn't stress yourself over it at all and at your pace.
Yeah. We talk about online bullying a lot too, mental health, just mean things that people say. But I mean, it gets to me too sometimes too, but this is my time where I like to reclaim power.
This is your time.
This is the time to reclaim power. And so just sharing this space with you, what is the meanest thing that has been said to you that has gotten you absolutely like,
Oh,
F?
you have some good questions.
'Cause
These
now
are things
I
I've never
want
been asked.
to take that and just be like, yeah, but look at me.
There are so many stories. This is when I was like a personal assistant to this like big time producer. And I have a mouth on me. So I'm like, no, you're not going to talk to me this way. So I was like, totally.
That's not having a mouth. That's having boundaries and standing up for
Boundaries and
yourself.
standing up. Okay. Yeah. This totally, I'm
Yeah.
not being bossy. I'm just
Yeah.
like standing up for myself.
Exactly.
And he was like, you're never, like literally so cliche. You're never going to make in this industry. Who are you anyway? And it's so hilarious. He's in jail now. So
Oh, well, look how the tables have turned.
he
This
did like
is why...
some trafficking ring. So
Oh my God.
So girl, Karma got her. Karma is your boyfriend.
Oh
Karma is your no, I mean there's so many like
Yeah.
you know, I don't have like the most powerful voice or like the look and you know we're Asian American, so that's like another element
Layer,
to it.
yeah.
And I laugh. Honestly, it's just funny because I'm like, well, whatever, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
what are you doing? Like, you're bullying me for doing something. So if
Yeah.
I'm cringe, then you're cringe. Everyone's afraid of being cringe, and I'm trying to, like, it's okay. No one's gonna matter when you're, like, dead. Like,
Yeah.
just do whatever you want. It's your life. You
Exactly.
literally have one life.
Well, I'm glad that, you were able to reclaim that because
People are mean, though. I will say, I have this, like, weird stalker, like, internet stalker.
okay, how do you deal with that?
The block button, but outside of the block button, I'm just like, okay, as long as I know the whereabouts, I'm safe.
Yeah.
But there's so many layers to being a musician, right? That no one's talking about, like this, like stalking, insecurity. And that doesn't matter, like the amount of followers you have. It's like a real problem, or bullying and
Yeah.
hateful and judgmental things. But you just take it with stride.
Yeah. No, it's definitely different too. And just being like a woman who travels everywhere too. I remember like one of my male counterparts asked me, why don't you check in? This is like Foursquare, so I might be dating myself, but like, it's like, why don't you like check in everywhere you go on Foursquare? You get points that way or whatever. And I'm like, I don't want people to know that I'm
Where I'm
here.
at, yeah.
Like, especially if I'm eating by myself. And he was like, I never thought about it that way.
Oh yeah, it's a whole world.
And it's like such a different world out there. So I mean, do what you do, but you got to protect yourself at the end of the day. On the opposite end of the mean, I'm like, what's the kindest thing that someone has ever done for you?
I think when they just like come up to you and tell them that like your song that you wrote when you were 5 or something means something to you, and you're just like, you heard that song, I hate that song now, or it doesn't resonate with you, and it's just so nice, because you never know what it is that's going to resonate with you. And sometimes it's not even the music, it's just like, oh my gosh, like I love cooking the way that you cook too, like you inspire me to cook. It's just like really simple things. And there's a whole other genre we haven't even hit for like women who are doing music, right? You have to like constantly be on, wear makeup, and have really crazy costumes. And so it's nice when people are like, I like you without all that, regardless, and they just tell you. It's really sweet.
You touched on it a little bit talking about the Asian American community, and I want to talk about identity because that's what I love talking about. But how do you identify in terms of your background, and how much does that affect what you do and kind of like the impact that you wish to have for your community?
Well, I'm Vietnamese American, and in general, the music scene there's not many of us, so there is like a very important place that I'm in to kind of honor my community, and they're such a big foundation for the support in music. On the other hand, it's a tricky slope because although I'm Asian American, I don't want to be Asian who sings, right? We're talented. We're just talented people that
who
happen to be Asian.
Yeah.
So it is tricky, right? Because when I first started, I was kind of being pulled in these niche labels and genres and playlists, and if you keep going that route too, you don't want to be pigeonholed. But at the same time, having that foundation is the stepping stone to building your community. So I think it's just balancing that. It's just tricky.
Yeah. Well, talk about, you had this collaboration with the gin company, right? Wasn't it the first Vietnamese gin company?
Wow. Okay. Segue.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had my first sponsorship with the first Vietnamese gin ever. And it was just...
How do you pronounce it?
Song Khai.
Song Khai, okay.
I mean, there's the more Vietnamese way to say. I'm probably not saying it perfectly.
Yeah. I was like, give me the more Vietnamese. I've learned a little bit. It's more like Tung and Choi Oi.
Okay, yeah, good. That's pretty good accent. Yeah, I mean, I'm probably butchering it, but it means river, and it's just a beautiful bottle, and I think that was a big milestone just because I am an up-and-coming artist, and for a gin company and a sponsorship to trust you tells you a lot about the journey, right? Like, you don't need to be XYZ amount of success to have somebody believe in you.
Yeah.
And so you really just need like one believer, and then you make 10 believers, and then you have kind of your community. So it was a great milestone.
Speaking of a milestone, I wanted to go to another pinned post, which was a recent one.
She's good.
Your Harper's Bazaar, Vietnam.
Yeah, so
that's cool. Were you like in Vietnam for that too?
Yeah, that was crazy. long story short, we get an invite to walk the Harper's Bazaar red carpet. So the day of, I'm in Vietnam. I don't have like a designer outfit.
Although you can find someone to make a custom outfit for you really fast and
Oh
cheap
my
out there.
gosh. So I like just went down the street to some random hair salon that was like $5 in like US dollars. And that was like just curl my hair. And then we just like texted everyone we knew in Vietnam, like, what am I gonna wear? We need help. And so this fashion designer was like, oh, I'm going to like I actually surprisingly, serendipitously have like an extra dress. The funniest part about it, so I'm 5'6", which is above average for a woman.
Yeah.
But fashion designers design for supermodels, 5'10" and up.
Oh man.
So this dress is like long. So I had to go to every store to find the highest heels
oh my
to
gosh.
wear this dress because it was dragging. And it still dragged because it's just like there's no taller platform than like this. So no, it was a dream for sure. Like Harper's Bazaar, I like grew up on it, bought the subscription, always read all of their magazines, and of course, you know, eventually I would get an interview with them and featured with Harper's Bazaar Vietnam. But that day was kind of weird for sure. It was the first time people were like, Dolly, 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 like, walking, and just like, oh my gosh, I used to be like behind the camera.
Yeah. I mean, talk about the behind and in front, because I mean, I do that too. Like, I work
Yeah,
behind
look
and
at
in
you.
front. But is there one that you like more than the other? Or, like, do you eventually want it to just not be a part of your identity anymore and just, I'm an artist, I'm a musician, I'm not a photographer? Or are you still trying to find ways to balance that into your life?
I think it's the only tricky part is I do love photographing, you know, photography. And I think there's so many beautiful moments that I've captured that I sometimes want to share. But then at the same time, it's tricky because I'm like, well, I'm also a musician. And as you know, being talent, you're treated so differently than set production crew.
I'm like, oh, I can't touch everything. I'm like, let me set this tripod up for you. They're like, just sit still and like, don't sweat. I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
okay.
It's totally like when you're in the talent seat, it's such a like cooler ride because I was on the other side and we get treated like trash. And so thankfully, because of that side, I want to make sure everyone is taken care of and,
Yeah.
you know, because I've been there. But no, it's still a tricky slope for me because on one hand, I'm on this path, but I also, the weird part about being a musician is it's a lot of self-promotion,
Yeah.
which I'm not really comfortable with.
Yeah.
But
How do you
I have
handle that as an introvert?
I have to. I yelled at. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. I just have to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't post as much as most people do, but that's the only time where I'm like, well, I would rather just post like, look at my sunset I took a picture of, but
Yeah.
here's my face again. Like, aren't you guys tired of
Balance
seeing
it
this?
out just every 5. Isn't that the algorithm?
Sure. No, the algorithm's been weird for me too. Like I've been posting a lot and then it's like nobody sees it. Then I'm like, do you want me to post or not post?
Yeah. Well, now that your album is out, your baby is out,
It's like a wedding.
all your finances, blood, sweat, tears, resources go into this. What's next for you? What are you looking forward to most now that you have a body of work that really encapsulates a period of time in your life?
I'm super excited to perform it. Honestly, like when I was writing the music, all I could think of was the sensation of the crowd and the band and the drumming. And so I'm just really stoked to go on that leg and play it the way I heard it live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, don't you have are you
Look at her
returning to the
segues. Look at her segue.
Are you returning to the motherland to perform
I
live?
am. I am. so, so good. I am performing it's actually kind of a serendipitous thing. It's in Vietnam. My first biggest show ever, like 20,000, 40,000 crowd. But the day I'm performing is opening night, the day before my mom's birthday. So it's just like, whoa, in her home country, day before
Yeah.
mom's birthday, perform, celebrate mom's birthday, and just be like, I can't explain that. I didn't
Yeah.
pick the date, but those little things that you can't explain
Yeah.
are what keeps you kind of keep going, right? Because it's just like, oh, well, these are your signs.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. We're in like the most prettiest backdrop. And I'm just really happy that you brought me on here.
Yeah. I just want to let you know that I know that I'm getting emotional more because I think just as someone who can relate to a loss of a parent, she would be so proud of you.
Oh, thank you. I
So,
appreciate it.
I mean, just here in this moment, being back at the place where, you wrote a lot of your album in your mom's dress and to share your stories, it just means a lot to me.
No, it
So,
means a lot to me to bring, a positive energy back
yeah,
here.
no, it's like obviously I'm crying because I'm so proud and I'm honestly really freaking proud of you. But it's just like I'm not gonna cry throughout this whole thing. But
Aw.
like there's just something about the sky in the moment, the way that this Amaranth PTC4 light is hitting me in my eye, and just
Thank
sitting
you,
next to
crew
you.
members that are behind the
That
camera.
I don't know. I just had a moment with you, and I'm like, wow,
No.
yeah, this is so exciting to return to like the motherland too, and you shared before that, it would be a place that your mom would take you, like no matter financial circumstances, she would save up her money and take you back to Vietnam, like what, every year?
Yeah, she would. She worked like just nail salon, single mother, would save up thousands of dollars to take us, and it is really bizarre for sure. Harper's
Yeah.
Bazaar.
I know, it's bizarre. Oh my gosh. But
That's
I
my
love it.
coping. She's crying, so I'm just like making jokes to
I know. I'm like, this is how we get to see it in live action.
No, I no, it's really strange, honestly.
Yeah.
And then these interviews are what keeps you grounded because I'm sure in your life too, and crews and photographers, we're in this really weird, bizarre space. Like you're
Yeah.
just seeing some of the craziest things happen.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the magic of it is you can't explain it. Like living it, you can't really like share these stories because it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. To share it in that space and time.
Yeah, it's weird. So having kind of more context for people who don't really understand,
Yeah.
none of this, it's like planned
Yeah.
because you can't really plan this. So I don't know. Somehow we made it here in this field
Mhm.
with 4 people in the middle of the wilderness. Like I didn't plan. That's weird. Like
Yeah.
what? So I don't know. And that's what I wrote in Crash. Is just like I don't get it.
Yeah. But we're here and this
But
is
we're
our
here,
time.
and this is our time.
Yeah. Well, what's the one thing that you like to share with the world about you that maybe no one knows?
I am a Missouri girl at heart, and I think I was telling you a little bit in the car, but like in like an alternate universe, I would have a garden with like 10 chickens and go off the grid.
Chickens.
I just want chickens. But I have a cat now, and I don't know, I'm backtracking because he's been bringing me gifts,
Oh,
like dead rats and stuff.
cats
So
might eat the chickens though, don't they?
that's also true. And
Yeah.
so I'm like, I don't know, am I meant for the wildlife? Because I've been screaming every time he brings home like a squirrel or a rat. I don't know if I could do it by myself. So yeah, in an alternate universe, I would really just live the simple life. Like this
Yeah.
is very, I don't know why I'm on this path sometimes. And
Yeah.
I love it and it makes sense. But on the other hand, I'm very, like, I like to be in the dirt and just, live life.
Well, I mean, I like this. We can manifest that for you. I feel like
That's
anytime
my
I was like,
retirement.
share something that you want to manifest now.
I want housing to be so cheap that I buy like freaking acres of land to be by myself with my chickens.
With your chickens. Is there any other people or persons or circumstances like in the picture?
Are you alluding to something?
Like, is there like another person in the picture or?
Well, in general, I'm very paranoid by myself.
Okay.
I used to live by myself and it was really scary for me.
Yeah.
I think of The Grudge and stuff, and I watch
Oh
true
God.
crime.
Okay.
So ideally not completely alone, but off the grid with some good company
Oh.
and my cat. So
Oh, I love that. Well, I just want to thank you for your time
of course.
today and just sharing your heart with me. I mean, you shared a lot in the car, and it was really hard not to bring back what we talked about in the car. But yeah, I'm just like genuinely and truly inspired by what you've done and
I'm
being
inspired
able
too.
to put it out there like that. It really just makes me feel like you can do anything.
Thank you so much. And, this platform helps, you know what I mean? Giving different artists a voice. So thank you so much for giving us this platform. And isn't it such a great close? Like the sun is
Oh.
like perfectly set.
Yeah, it's like we had a journey in the moment and we could see the changing backgrounds in the background. At least I hope we didn't have to change too much ISO on the cameras as it went down. I'm like looking at my camera crew.
Right.
But yeah, well, this signing off. Thank you so much to Dolly Avenue for joining today. You've been listening and watching the Nicki Sun Show. I'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you for having me.
Bye.